Welcome to my latest series of videos where I tell you what I think of the latest episode of Doctor Who after a rewatch. We're calling it on Second Thoughts. Welcome back to Movies TV Man. I'm Mick, your host with the most. Just ask your girlfriends and your wives. You can follow me on X, Twitter at Movies TV Mad, and on Instagram and on Threads at Movies TV Mad X, on TikTok Mad Mickey's World, on Snapchat BML60 Mick, your host with the most. Welcome to my second look at the latest episode of Doctor Who, which was titled what's it called? The Story and the Machine. I don't know why I'm having trouble with that one, but that was the title. I go back and think about that scene, that early scene in the TARDIS between the Doctor and Belinda, how he explains that now he's a black man and he's taken on different forms, and she really doesn't get what he's talking about or taking serious that he's changed his forms. But he makes a great point that now he's black, he's rejected and hated in certain areas of the world and the universe. But coming to Africa, meeting the people in the barber shop, exchanging stories was a beautiful sense of belonging for the Doctor. But it's not just about him being black. He recently found out when he was Jodie's doctor that the Time Lords had stolen his DNA and created Time Lord society from his DNA and wiped his mind, that everything he knew was an absolute lie. So even though the Time Lords are gone, he now has no good memories of the Time Lords. How can he? So he found this barbershop with these people who treat him as their own. Now, of course, the Doctor isn't really a black man. He's taken the form of a black man. The Doctor really doesn't have a true form, because every time that body dies, he takes the form of another body, right? So the Doctor doesn't really look like one thing. It's interesting. The Doctor is about what's inside. I think that's the moral of the Doctor's story from 1963 to today. And I like that element. It's about brains, personality, capacity, and soul. So what I love about that scene in the TARDIS, it's the stark contrast of last season, which really didn't have any character, any character development or fleshing out for the 15th Doctor, for Ncuti's Doctor to work with. And it's clear that Ncuti's a very strong actor, and when you give him the meat, he'll eat the sandwich. So amazing, and he's getting better and better every week as a character. Ncути has great quality. There's no question about that. That's my opinion. You don't have to have that opinion, but it's my belief. It's still my belief that this season has been absolutely fantastic. I don't care about the numbers. I want Doctor Who to be viewed by more people. I want it to be successful. I'm not one of these people who wants to see Doctor Who die, right? That is not how I roll. I love Doctor Who. I want it to go on forever. I don't think that RTD is trying to ruin it, trying to get it cancelled, but he's decided that he must have these statements within the episodes that he wants these uppercuts, and that's his decision, right? And this tugging of war continues. But this episode had some commentary, but not as big or some deep uppercuts as we've had previously this season. And I think that's definitely a good thing. And this episode is everything good about this series so far, where it's new concepts, it's new ideas, but it's totally Doctor Who. So I think it's been much improved. Now, to my shock, as much as I was enjoying the episode, I was surprised to see Jo Martin, cameo as her fugitive Doctor. There's no question about it that this woman is one of the great versions of the Doctor. Laugh if you will. I genuinely believe this. I mean, Jodie had been the Doctor for a few episodes and wasn't really becoming the Doctor for me. This lady walks on with that amazing costume, with that alpha female kind of sensibility. She's the Doctor. She's a take no shit Doctor. I love that about this fugitive Doctor. And I demand that she gets a series. I understand the motivations of her casting. And I know it's not all about creativity or introducing another interesting doctor. I understand that, but I don't care, right? Because I need to say this because this is important, right? White people are not the only people, right? White males are not the only people who live in society. Black people, black men, black women, Asian men, Asian women, the trans community, lots of different people, right? So as long as the actors who are, Asian, trans, black, are as talented as the other people, they should absolutely be represented on screen. And there's nothing toxic about seeing different races because everyone's human. So everyone deserves to be represented. You come, people say, well, it's an English show. Yes, but England, the United Kingdom, is a cosmopolitan country, as all countries are, right? And the day we just boot out everything that's a little bit foreign, a little bit different, or we hate it, that's not really a society I want to be a part of. And it's certainly not a Doctor Who I want to be a part of. So Joe Martin's Doctor is outstanding. And again, in a few seconds, she's the Doctor. She's a great Doctor. Now, whether she's the one that comes after Patrick Troughton's Doctor in between John Pertwee's Doctor, because that's a fan theory, or she's a modern Doctor, I think she would be perfect to come after Shooty. Now, we don't even know if there's going to be another season of Doctor Who. Now, they decided for the third year of the Disney deal to do, Beyond the Land and Sea instead of a Doctor Who series. So that's interesting because you can't have both as part of the Disney deal. Disney were two series. If you want to do 3 series of Who, you can. But if you want to do a spin-off, you can't do Doctor Who and the spin-off on the same year. So there'll be no Doctor Who next year. We know that. That won't be dramatic. That doesn't mean it's going anywhere, right? But because of that, they may not actually have to announce that the Disney deal's over to next year. So be very much aware of that. I'm very, very interested to see what the future of Doctor Who holds. But if it does hold a future, Jo Martin's Doctor should either be a spin-off Doctor or she should be the main Doctor. You see, like the Timeless Children, which I think on its own is a skeleton of a good idea, unfortunately the motivations from Chibnall were for representation and inclusion and not to tell a great new story, create a great new exciting reality and truth for the Doctor. Because Chibnall's idea is quite good. And I stand by that opinion. And it's like the Fugitive Doctor. The Fugitive Doctor is a great idea. Lots of fans have written about a similar type of Doctor in between Troughton and Pertwee. So it's there. This is what people have kind of wanted for many, many years. She's a great actor. She's a great version of the Doctor. I don't know how she did it, but she seems to snap her fingers and be a great Doctor. She is amazing. She deserves at least a series or at least an era. She deserves that. We deserve that as fans as well. We want this. We want a diverse Doctor to play the Doctor. We all want the same thing, MacLeod. We are the same, MacLeod. So why can't we do this? It can't always be about, discourse and anger and hatred. This is a thing that most of us, if not everybody, wants. So Shooty is leaving. And normally with Doctor Who, since the revival came back, we normally know by the end of the season, if before the regeneration happens, that the Doctor's going. So at this moment in time, we haven't been told. I think if Shooty, now obviously, right, the papers have been telling us for ages that Shooty's not doing a third year. So either he's not doing a third year because the show's being cancelled or given a little break as they're going to sell it, or he's now, if he's going, it's going to be a surprise regeneration, and we haven't had surprise regenerations, like permanent surprise regenerations. So I think that it would have been announced by the BBC by now if he was really going. So either the show's being cancelled or Shooty will be the Doctor for a third year. That's been the tradition. I think it would be, for me, it'd be a huge tragedy after this great season for Shooty, for him to leave this year. Now, it's always exciting to hear about a new Doctor and discuss who could be the new Doctor and think about the next regeneration. For me, it's too soon. Now, I think, because it's really kind of bowled me away seeing Jo come back, because she's amazing, right, that if Ncuti goes this year or the following year, she should be the next Doctor. I was surprised. I thought she would be RTD's Doctor. You know, it's interesting to me because we know he cast a black guy as the Doctor. So why not just cast a black woman as the next Doctor? A Doctor that's already been introduced. So she was a great facet of this episode, and I hope we see more of her. And it seemed like she kind of said, there's a war going on right now, there's something going on. That's what she was trying to say. So she was making excuses for not helping that woman when she was a kid, and she said, whatever I was involved with then is still going on now. So clearly they're planning on either bringing her back on the TV show, if it survives, or maybe it was a foreshadowing for Big Finish. Who really knows at this stage? The episode was brilliant. It was educational. It was cultural. It's everything that Doctor Who should be. And I stand after a second viewing, after a rewatch, at my 7 out of 10 rating for this episode of Doctor Who. Now, next week is that Eurovision Song Contest episode. That should be very colourful and a lot of fun.